Welcome to Soothing Sunday. I am your host for this week, Virginia Wise. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for joining me. We're gonna have so much fun. I'm new to Harlequin. I just wrote my first book for Harlequin, An Amish Christmas Inheritance. It's with Love Inspired. It just came out in November, and that's what we're gonna be reading today. It is set in a gift shop, which was perfect for Christmas time. So just imagine immersing yourself in this world of Amish homemade gifts and decorations and the greenery and the smells of pies and hot chocolate, and get your hot beverage. I've got mine in my Christmas mug all ready while we read, and settle in, and let's hear about Levi and Katie, who have both inherited this Christmas shop together. And they do not like each other. They do not get along. So how will they resolve the conflict? Spoiler alert, they're gonna fall in love. Can't wait for you to read how it's gonna happen. So let's get a sneak preview, chapter 1. Katie Schwartz dropped her battered suitcase on the shoulder of the highway and looked up and down the busy road. This was not what she remembered. Not at all. After 15 years away, the quaint hamlet of Bluebird Hills was not looking so quaint. This highway definitely had not been here during her last visit. Of course, that was a long time ago, when she was only 12. Even so, she'd expected life to stand still in the community surrounding her great Aunt Fanny's Lancaster County farm. She'd assumed that idyllic peace of her childhood would remain the same forever. She'd come all the way from Indiana believing that. Suddenly, a bright red truck with shiny chrome and oversized wheels roared by and splattered mud across Katie's magenta dress and crisp white apron. No, Bluebird Hills was not the same at all. The last time Katie had stepped off the bus from Indiana, she'd strolled down an inviting country lane to Aunt Fanny's farm. So it had never occurred to her to arrange a driver to take her from the bus stop to her destination. She frowned and studied the steady stream of traffic. The faces of strangers zipped by, oblivious to her. She would just have to walk along the highway. There was nothing else to be done. Katie raised her chin, picked up her suitcase, and set out. 5 minutes later, she was already losing her nerve. The shoulder narrowed, squeezing her between a guardrail and the strip of white paint separating her from cars whizzing by. A ravine ran along the other side of the guardrail, forcing her to march alongside the traffic. The cars and trucks whipped up a gust of wind as they passed that pulled her hair from her prayer cap. A cloud of dust engulfed her. She felt like a bedraggled puppy, abandoned on the side of the road. The only thing that kept her going was the thought of Aunt Fanny's farm, which could not be much further now. Or at least she tried to convince herself that it could not be much further. She could not wait to clap eyes on it again. When the letter had come that dear Aunt Fanny had passed away and willed the property to her, the house, the farm, and the charming little gift shop, Katie had been both overjoyed and saddened in a confusing tangle of emotions. But one thing was clear. She would carry on with the farm and gift shop to honor Aunt Fanny's precious memory. But first, she had to get there. She needed to focus, get to the farm safely, and prepare herself for the fight ahead. Because Aunt Fanny had thrown a monkey wrench into the inheritance. She'd willed equal shares of the property to Katie and to some man Katie had never met. A caretaker or farmhand of some kind, apparently. Whoever he was, he seemed to have helped himself to a vulnerable old lady's property. Katie was determined to find an amicable solution that left her with full control of the farm and gift shop. Fanny had been her great aunt, after all. The familiar clip-clop of hooves against pavement pulled Katie from her thoughts. She almost whooped for joy. She was saved. No good Amish man or woman would pass by a sister in distress. She pushed a loose strand of auburn hair beneath her prayer cap and turned around. A bay horse pulled a gray buggy down the highway. Horns honked as traffic piled up behind the buggy. The horse ignored the traffic and plodded onward with a slow, patient gait. Katie could kiss that horse. She picked up her suitcase and jogged back toward the buggy, waving her free arm until the driver nodded. She grinned, shouted out a thank you that was lost behind the roar of engines, and tried to wipe the dust and grime from her white apron. Her once white apron. Now it looked more gray than white. She realized she looked completely unpresentable, and the grin died on her face. This was no way to make a first impression on her new neighbors. Katie watched the driver's face take form as the buggy slowly drew near. She hoped it was a little old lady with failing eyesight who wouldn't notice her bedraggled state. But as the driver's features became clear, Katie saw a man with brown hair and brown eyes. A very handsome man. Of course, she would run into a good-looking man when she was looking her absolute worst. Not that she was looking for a courtship. Those dreams had died in Indiana, when she devoted her life to other things. She had never had a beau and did not expect anyone to court her now, not at her age. But still, the man was very handsome. Katie felt her cheeks redden. Very handsome indeed. The man tipped a straw hat, and Katie jerked her attention away. Great, he had caught her staring. She made sure to look anywhere but at him as the buggy continued to draw near. It felt terribly awkward. She had to pretend to be distracted by traffic. Then she studied the hem of her apron. Then she spent an entire 2 minutes retying her black athletic shoes. Finally, the buggy pulled to a stop beside her, and Katie could turn her attention to the man again without feeling self-conscious. She beamed up at the stranger. Whew, donkey for stopping. I'm stranded, as you can see. The man nodded. Hop aboard. Katie tossed up her suitcase, waited for a break in traffic, and ran around the buggy to climb in the passenger's side. She slammed the door shut and exhaled as the tractor trailer rumbled by in the next lane. It's been an interesting walk, she said. The man chuckled. I bet. He clucked his tongue, and the horse pushed forward. The wheels began to turn, and Katie settled into her seat. She had never felt so comforted by the familiar rumble of buggy traveling down pavement. Could have gotten yourself killed, the man said. Out looking for trouble? Katie glanced up and saw the warmth in his eyes. He was teasing. No, she laughed. I was unprepared. That much is clear. He smiled. Where are you headed? Bluebird Hills. The man nodded. Me too. It's just ahead. Katie straightened in her seat. She wanted to catch a glimpse of the farm as soon as it came into sight. She wondered if it still looked how she remembered. How many changes had that Levi Miller made to it? As far as Katie was concerned, it was perfect just the way it had been when she was a child. She hoped it was just the same. Nice weather we're having, the man said while keeping his eyes on the road. Thankfully. Katie laughed and picked at the flecks of mud in her dress. I already look like something the cat dragged in. Could you imagine if I was soaking wet on top of everything else? The man turned his head and studied her for a moment. His eyes were warm, determined, and serious. Katie felt herself melt beneath the gaze. You look mighty fine to me, he said after a moment, then cleared his throat and looked back toward the road. If you don't mind me saying so. She did not mind. Not at all. Katie smiled. Donkey? A little half smile crept onto the man's face. Katie could not help but notice how adorable the expression looked. Haven't seen you around here before, the man added. Katie looked over the rural landscape dotted with Holstein cows and bales of fresh-cut hay. Where I'm from isn't like this at all. I grew up in town. There was always a lot of traffic going by our house. Englishers commuting into the city mostly, so our neighborhood was pretty noisy and congested. Being here makes me feel like, I don't know. Katie took a deep, cleansing breath and exhaled. She turned to the man and grinned. Like I can breathe again. Never liked the city much. The man glanced at Katie and their eyes connected. Bluebird Hills suits me just fine. Katie felt warm under his gaze, as if he understood how she felt. Me too, she said as the heat moved to her cheeks. She blinked and turned away quickly. Perhaps Bluebird Hills held more potential than an inheritance, although now is not the time to indulge in such thoughts, especially with a stranger she knew nothing about. So Katie wondered what to ask without sounding like she was prying. What do you do for a living out here? Are you a farmer? Most people in the little village of Bluebird Hills were. Yeah. His lips curled into a wistful smile. It's good land around here. It's hard to come by. God has blessed me, that's for sure and for certain. Katie could sense his love for the land by his expression and tone of voice. She shared that same love. There's no place in the world quite like Lancaster County, Katie said, and Bluebird Hills especially. The man agreed. He adjusted the reins in his hands. No place like it. There's a hill past Main Street, a little ways beyond that big pine tree they always decorate for Christmas, Katie said. Anyway, the view of the sunset from that hill is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. The man chuckled. I know that hill, and I know that view of the sunset. And I agree. He cut his eyes to her for a moment, then looked back to the road. Never heard anyone else mention it. I suppose most people don't take the time to appreciate what God has set in front of them, Katie said. I suppose not. The man looked thoughtful as he watched the road ahead. I'm surprised I haven't seen you there before. I've spent a lot of time on that hill over the years. Oh, well, I've been away for a long time, Katie said. The sight of a familiar sycamore tree interrupted her train of thought. She gasped and craned her neck to catch a glimpse of the driveway that she knew lay beside it. Her heart leaped as her childhood memories took shape and became real again. She clasped her hands and almost bounced in her seat. There was the great green and yellow field that ran alongside the road, and the red windmill that overlooked the pond, and the quaint little gift shop with its weathered clapboards and tin roof. Everything was as it should be. Everything was perfect. She let out a long breath of relief. This is it, she said. Pull over here, please. I am finally home. Home. She let the words sink in. She finally had a place to call her own. All she had to do was deal with Levi Miller. Whoever he was. In her imagination, he looked like an ogre. He probably had a hunchback and delighted in stealing candy from babies. Here? The man's voice caught as he said the word. Yeah, here. A strange expression came over the man's face. Katie glanced at him. Is that a problem? The man shifted in his seat and looked uncomfortable. Gone was the easy camaraderie they had enjoyed during the ride. Katie sensed something was wrong. No, the man shook his head, but his expression looked grim. Not a problem. He glanced at Katie to judge her reaction. I was just headed here myself, actually. Oh, Katie frowned. Stopping by the gift shop? Nope. The horse turned into the driveway without being guided, as if she did it often. You don't, Katie felt herself stiffen. You don't live here, do you? Yeah, I do. She closed her eyes and exhaled. You're Levi Miller. Guilty as charged. This was the man who swindled Aunt Fanny and stole Katie's inheritance out from under her. She had not expected him to be so handsome or charming. She'd actually enjoyed spending time with him. The nerve of him. How dare he pretend to be such a nice man? I see, Katie said in a flat tone as she dropped her friendly demeanor. She was all business now. I'm Katie Schwartz. I guess you realized that. Yep. Well, this was awkward. Levi kept his eyes straight ahead. Katie pretended he was not there. She knew she had to be kind and forgiving and figure out a way to make this ridiculous situation work. But right now, she did not want to. She wanted to pout and shake her fist and make Levi Miller get off her land. Except it wasn't her land. It was their land. Okay, that's the first part of chapter 1. And if you enjoyed this, you can get an Amish Christmas Inheritance anywhere books are sold online. And I'm so excited that you joined me today. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.